We are the ones who remember what the ledgers forgot. At 52 years old, Eulalie Hartwell stood on the frozen boardwalk of Marrow Creek, Kansas, with nothing to her name but a carpetbag, a thin mourning shawl, and $11 folded into a handkerchief. Her husband's brother, Aldous Hartwell, had put her off the farm she had built with her own hands for 18 years, and a soft-spoken banker named Silas Renwick had signed the papers without once looking her in the eye. With her last coins, Eulalie did something the town called foolish. She bought the abandoned Marrow County Courthouse at auction, condemned and boarded for $9, because no one else wanted it. What she did not know was that somewhere behind its warped walls waited a room that appeared on no blueprint the county had ever drawn, a room sealed with a warning nailed to its door, and that whatever was hidden inside it would change her life and restore an entire town. Settle in, and let us tell you the story of Eulalie Hartwell. If you're watching this from a place that feels forgotten, tell us in the comments, because this story is for you. Eulalie had learned patience from her father, a cooper named Hosea Vance, who taught her that a cracked stave of oak was rarely ruined, only unfinished or misunderstood. She carried that lesson into her marriage with Thomas Hartwell, a homesteader on the Kansas plains, where she kept the accounts and mended what others threw away, earning a quiet reputation as a woman who could smell a wrong number the way others smelled rain coming. When Thomas died in a wagon accident on the Cottonwood Ford, Eulalie believed at least the land was hers to keep. She did not yet understand how easily paper could undo 18 years of labor. The debt that ruined her had never been hers at all. Thomas had once co-signed a loan for his brother Aldous, who let it quietly rot rather than repay it. When Thomas died, the debt came due, and it came due to Eulalie. Aldous offered to settle things properly if she simply signed the farm to him. She refused, and so he went to the bank. Silas Renwick explained, with soft and practiced sorrow, that a widow without male kin could not be extended patience, that the law was the law. Within months, sheriff's men posted notice on her door, and Eulalie Hartwell was left with a carpetbag and $11, while Aldous stood across the street in a new coat and did not look her way. It was in that state that she heard the old courthouse was for sale, abandoned since the county seat moved to Prescott, its windows boarded, a warning long nailed to a second-floor door that read simply, "Do not open." Nobody bid against her. $9, and the gavel came down, and half the town laughed as she walked to claim her key alone. On her first morning inside, out of habit as much as need, Eulalie walked the building the way her father once tested a barrel, palm flat against the wood, feeling for what a wall was truly saying. In the old judge's chambers, her hand found a hollow section of wainscoting no eye would have caught. Behind it, a narrow stairwell dropped to a hidden room half a level below, lit by a single grimed transom window, a room that existed on no blueprint the county had ever filed. On its rotting door hung the very warning from years before, and beneath it, scratched faint and desperate, for their sake. Inside, on a stone shelf, she found a locked strong-box and a swollen leather-bound ledger. It belonged to Judge Elias Thorne, the county's first circuit judge, dead now 15 years. In careful script, he had recorded a second, true set of land surveys for dozens of homestead claims, proof that the official county records had been quietly altered, boundaries shaved, filing dates changed, land reassigned to men who had never broken a single acre of it. The names threaded through the fraud belonged to the Prescott Land and Improvement Company, and among the earliest entries, unmistakable, was a young clerk's signature, S. Renwick. Eulalie spent weeks by lamplight, piecing together what Thorne had done. Rather than confront the syndicate directly, he had built this hidden room himself, kept off every survey, meant to gather proof before bringing the matter to a territorial court. He died of fever before he ever got the chance, and the room was forgotten along with him. The strong box held no gold, but something worth more to Marrow Creek. 31 notarized survey certificates proving the land as it had truly been settled. Among the names was Thomas Hartwell, whose father's claim had been quietly shaved of 40 acres decades earlier, acres folded into the very parcel Aldous now held, and had used to secure the debt that ruined her. Eulalie moved carefully. She found Otis Pruitt, an old surveyor's assistant who had altered figures under instruction and carried the guilt for 30 years. She found Ezra Coulter, a freedman whose father's claim had been resurveyed the same season the syndicate needed land for a rail spur. She found the Novak family who had signed papers in a language they could not read. Word spread, and Aldous came to the courthouse blustering about trespass until Eulalie's calm mention of some very old paperwork concerning the Hartwell claim sent him out, white-faced and silent. Silas Renwick was not so easily unsettled. When she brought him a certified survey copy, he suggested gently that old paper proved nothing, that a widow alone in a condemned building would find it hard to persuade any judge of anything. It was warning dressed as pity, the same voice that had once taken her farm. He petitioned the county to have the courthouse condemned and torn down for the town's protection, which would have buried the hidden room and every certificate in it under rubble before any judge saw them. Eulalie requested a hearing before the traveling territorial magistrate, Judge Wallace Ferris, due through Prescott within the month. She did not gather a mob. She gathered proof, laid plainly, the way her father had taught her to show exactly where a crack ran, so no honest eye could deny it. Otis Pruitt swore to what he'd done. Ezra Coulter and the Novaks stood beside her. The hearing was held in the very chambers above the hidden room, and Judge Ferris spent a full day cross-checking Thorne's ledger against the county's own filings before ruling that the true boundaries stood restored, the fraudulent transfers void, and that the bank owed restitution in land and coin to every family proven wronged. Silas Renwick's reputation collapsed the moment the ruling was read aloud on the courthouse steps. He sold his interest in the bank within the year and left Marrow Creek quietly, the same way he had once taken so much without raising his voice. Aldous Hartwell, stripped of the disputed acres, came once with hat in hand to ask forgiveness, which Eulalie gave him plainly without warmth, the way one forgives a barrel, its flaws, once the crack is finally mended. She did not return alone to farm her restored land. Instead, she gave the bulk of her restitution toward repairing the old courthouse itself, turning the east wing, once damaged by fire, into Marrow Creek's first schoolhouse for the children of freedmen and immigrant families alike, teaching its first term herself, still carrying her father's patience for showing others that a thing is rarely ruined, only unfinished or misunderstood. And so we return to where we began. A widow standing alone on a frozen boardwalk with $11, buying for $9 a courthouse the whole town believed was worthless. The hidden room behind that warning nailed to its door held no gold, though it made a fortune all the same. True names restored to true land, and a town's trust in itself repaired seam by seam, the way a good cooper repairs a barrel until it holds again. Thank you